do not compare yourself to other people.
I love
That
that.
was my biggest thing. Especially social media is such a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Hey there, Coach Devin here, and I am fortunate enough to have my good friend Amanda Chater with me today. Now, the reason I wanted to have Amanda on is because a lot of people have seen some of the transformation that Amanda has had online. We've posted a lot of pictures of her, but I wanted to have her on to sort of talk a little bit about the process of how she did it, her thought process during it, and basically why we did it in the first place. So welcome, Amanda. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you too. This is the first I've ever done this, so the angle is really good too, Devin. Thanks for this.
I do my best. I try my best here. All right. So Amanda and I have known each other for a long time now. She came to my gym originally. Actually, you know what? Tell the story about how you came to the gym the first time.
I never used to like to sweat or exercise. So my sister got me a Groupon from 360 Fit, and she's like, you should really try it. Like, I think you'll like it. The atmosphere, the gym owner is really nice. And so I decided to go with her one day. And this is when you were teaching a class called Superhero, which was a very advanced class. And I think my sister purposely did that for a reason. But I came in with like 3 layers of clothing on because I thought the more sweat I had on, and also I hated showing any part of my body because I was just so embarrassed. And then I stand in the class and this big guy walks in. He's like, my name's Devin Sherrington. I'm here to whatever. You probably never said that, but in my mind, I thought you said that. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is just not tiny at all. Like, is he the trainer? And my sister goes, yeah, he owns the gym. Like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to die. And why do I have so much clothes on? So halfway through the class, I remember just going to the bathroom and like needing to throw up. But I was like, now I got to finish it. And I went back and I finished the class and I keep on going.
The impressive part about that story is I remember you leaving partway through it. And superhero training was like my way of like just an opportunity to beat the heck out of people, right? Once a week we do it, and I would just come up with the hardest possible workout I could come up with. And then we'd all do it. I do it too. And just try to crush people. And Amanda's sister Maha, that's right up her alley. Like Maha and I are a lot alike. And she was all for it. And Amanda is much more laid back and calm. And she did have a lot of like a tank top and a t-shirt and a hoodie.
I think it was summertime too. Like that was the kicker. It was summertime.
I think it was June or July. And I don't know why anybody would wear that much clothing when they came, but you did.
I don't know. It happened.
All right, so like we're going forward from there. Obviously, the throwing up and the first class and me being the knucklehead didn't scare you off enough, so you continued. And I thought it's something that you've told me a few times. Once you started exercising, you said you used to tell me the story about how you used to lie in bed and wish that you looked different. Because I think that's really powerful. And I think it's a lot of people have been there because I think I've been there too. I think a lot of people have been in that spot.
Well, since I was a kid, I always like pray before I go to bed. It's not like a prayer, but like, I just thank God that I have all this stuff in life. Everyone's healthy. But there was parts of my life where I just liked how I looked. And I think it was just trying to get acceptance from society or like being loved a certain way, maybe based on how I looked. It was just insane. But there'd be nights consistently where I'd be like, okay, God, like, I think it's time. Let me wake up in a whole different body. Like, who even does that? Like, with no effort of going in the gym, no effort of eating better. I just like, is there magic that's going to happen where I just wake up and this is the body that I always wanted? And it was so weird to think back at looking at that because I thought it could possibly happen. And then when I, got introduced to the gym and starting to eat better, I just realized like things in life never come like easy. Nothing comes easy. Like you have to put work in everything that you do to get what you want. And like to sit there and like dwell on it consistently every night, it was just kind of eating me alive every day.
And I think that's an important thing because I think you hit that right on the head. A lot of people do that. I think when I was younger, I used to do it too. I'm like, okay, if I could just, at the time, like if I could just be bigger, if I could just be stronger or whatever, you do sort of, you get this headspace where you're like, okay, if I just wish for it hard enough, that will happen. And you're not doing the prerequisite stuff to get into it. I think that speaks to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people probably who will watch this will understand that that's a thing. Everybody does it. It's not like when you said,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
When you said that, who does that? Actually, I think a lot of people do that. I think most people do it. I think it's a sort of a normal thing for people to come up with that, they expect something to happen. And I think part of that, and in some ways it's people like me who post, before and after pictures of clients, and people don't always see the hard work and the dedication that goes into it, which is why we're talking about this right now, because we're going to get into the transformation side of it in a second here.
Yeah, I agree.
So you worked, I think you were in the gym, like we were friends for probably 4 or 5 years, and you worked out consistently. You certainly weren't unfit, but weren't exactly where you wanted to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is like people think that this journey, and I call it a journey because people, I think, automatically give it a timeline of where they should be at. But this journey is going to be with me for the rest of my life. Like there's no looking back. But for me, it's just like being consistent, but also people think that just going to the gym, you just go to the gym and not think of your food. And that's what I did at the beginning. Yeah, for me, it's weird to hear you say that I wasn't unhealthy. But for me, mentally, I was unhealthy at that time because I would go to the gym and relieve all my stress, but would leave and like eat anything that I wanted. And like, I still didn't feel the best. Mentally, I felt the best, but physically, I just didn't feel the best. So like, I always thought it was weird that people would come up to me at that time and be like, you look great. And you know how I am with compliments anyways, like I'm a weirdo, but I was like, okay, thanks.
She doesn't like her compliments. If you compliment her, she'll give you a look like, why are you complimenting me right now?
Merry Christmas. But I just felt like mentally I was so much better, but physically I still didn't get there.
So we're going to flash forward. This is about, I guess we're now almost 3 years ago, to be 3 years in January. And our mutual friend, Cameron, or I would like to say our mutual friend, Amanda might say your friend, Cameron, because they argue all the time.
This is true.
Cameron came to me and he said he'd been a similar situation to Amanda. Cameron came to me originally. He was pretty unfit. He was eating zoodles and white bread all the time. Changed some things, but he was very difficult with changing his food. And in January of almost 3 years, so it would be 3 years in January, he came to me and he said, listen, I want to have abs. Never had abs, I want abs. And I know what Cameron's like. So I said, well, look, you have to actually be willing to put in the time and the effort. If you do what I tell you, I can give you abs in probably 8 weeks, but you have to do what I say. And I know he's very argumentative. He likes to argue with everybody. So, I figured he probably wouldn't do it, but I broke down what I wanted him to do. And when I did, I thought, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to document how it works, because if Cameron actually sticks with it, this will be a good story to show that anybody can do it. And then I thought about you, and I was like, my friend Amanda, if I do this with 2 people, it'll be kind of neat, because doing it with a guy, sometimes people will look at it and go, okay, well, anybody can get more fit. You're a guy. And I wanted somebody who was similar to Cameron, like already was exercising, already had, taken a lot of big steps. But I wanted to be able to say, okay, but I can change a ton of stuff in like 8 weeks if you just follow with the food and some simple changes. How did you feel when I first came to you and I said, and I didn't really give you a choice. I remember that I just this is what you're going to do.
Yeah, I couldn't I couldn't really design the package I wanted. It was like you just saying, this is what you got to do. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was kind of a blessing and like the perfect time because I had just that summer I went away overseas and like looking at pictures, I remember like getting off the plane and coming back home and I was like, okay, I need to make me feel good inside at this point. So when he came to me, it was like the perfect time. I'm also competitive, especially when it's against a guy, because I'm a little bit of a feminist and just need to do it for the women out there. So it was almost like a competition of like who lost more inches between him and I. And I mean, at, it was fun and games at the beginning, but like I just thought it was incredible of how in that short period of time, how much we both lost and like we complained maybe every day, but I mean, that's just us on any other day anyways, but it all worked out at the end, I found.
And to be clear, you did win on the inches side of it because you had, I think
Yeah,
you
I
lost
know.
26 inches in 8 weeks and he lost like 19, I think. So you did kick his butt on
Yeah,
the inches.
I did. Can we say that again? Can we
You
repeat that
kicked his butt on the inches side of it.
Okay,
Cameron, you
cool.
lost. Sorry, dude. Okay, so that change, how was it when you first did it? Because a lot of people look at when they, changing their food or exercise or anything like that, and they think of it as being this enormous mountain you have to climb, and it seems overwhelming, right? For most people, they look at it and they're like, okay, that's just so much work. I don't want to do that. How did you feel? I mean, I didn't give you much of a choice. I just said, we're going to do this. You're doing it. This is a nice thing
Yeah.
about having your friends and you just make your friends do things for you.
Yeah.
But how did it feel like when you first started? Because it was a big change to what you were eating.
Yeah, I mean, people have an addiction to alcohol. People have addiction to smoking, drugs. My addiction for me was sugar. Like, I love chocolate. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate?
There.
I also love like dry fruit and fruit. Like culturally, like we have dry fruit and fruit on the table consistently all day. And it's, I mean, fruit is good sugar, but like the dried fruit with like added sugar to it. For me, the hardest part was the sugar part. But when I started becoming creative, and I know you and I are not I and I in that because you're very basic with your food and kind of bland. And I never grew up like that. There's too many spices in our food. So I started like baking with sugar substitutes and like one of my favorite things is cinnamon rolls. And one day I was like, man, I really just want a cinnamon roll. It was during Project Fit. So I just Googled almond flour cinnamon roll and I substituted sugar with like a sugar substitute. It's like monk fruit and it tastes great to me. It just kind of like took away that craving for me. I will say this until I go blue. The 8 weeks of Project Fit, if I can literally do it, I think anyone can do it. And it's the hard part is the aftermath of like being consistent and like the maintenance part of it was the most difficult part. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning there was challenges, but kind of like having you and Cameron there too and talk about it really helped as well too.
So I think what you hit on there is a super important point because a lot of people, 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever you're going to do fitness wise is always like everybody, there's an end of the road, right? You're like, okay, this is how far I'm going to go. And then, like you said, the maintenance phase of, okay, now this is going to be a lifestyle change is the hard part. And I'm going to give you some props right now because we're almost 3 years in and you are in better shape and more fit. You're stronger, you're leaner than you were when you finish those 8 weeks, which is really impressive. But talk to me a little bit about how that process was in the maintenance side of it. Because when you're tracking, and one of the things I make everybody do, I made Cameron and Amanda do this, is track all their food. So you're tracking your food with MyFitnessPal. You're watching how much you're eating. When you come off that and you're like, okay, I think I understand food pretty well. I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty comfortable. Now I'm going to go into sort of a maintenance type phase where I'm pretty good with the size I am. I'm going to maybe reintroduce some things back into my diet. how is that? Because you've done this now for almost, well, I mean, we're going on close to 3 years. You've done the maintenance side of this. How
Yeah.
has that been? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Mentally, that was probably the hardest thing for me because I have a love-hate relationship with food. Growing up until now, food is so big in our culture. Like I feel like at one point, like we just talk about food. Like we yell at my mother sometimes because she's like, "So what should I make tomorrow?" We're like, "Okay, our conversation doesn't always have to be about food," but I just feel like I'm a foodie. Like I love to go out. I love to try restaurants. Well, one thing that really helped me was my fitness bell at the beginning, like being so precise on measurements. And that was 8 weeks. Like for transformations to happen, you really have to like do that part. Till this day, I still use my fitness belt. Like I remember in May of last year, I said, okay, I do not want to be the person that gains all my weight back during COVID. It was already a stressful time, and I just wanted to make sure that there was no looking back. So it wasn't me taking measurements until this day. It's not like I take measurements. It was listing out the foods on my fitness pal, what I'm eating, the time of day I'm eating it. And it was more for my gut health too, is like if I felt like my gut was acting up, that I could like kind of go back to that and see what foods I was eating and what makes me feel bloated. And everyone knows when you feel bloated, you don't feel yourself. You don't feel confident. You don't feel confident in what you're wearing or anything. So if I continued to feel confident, it helped me push to get to a point where I want to be at.
Awesome. Do you ever think, because what's interesting about this for me has been, you are probably, as this is the strongest you've ever been. There's a ton of stuff you can do. You can squat a lot. Your bench press is great. And the funny thing is, a lot of women, especially, will say to me, well, I don't want to lift too many weights. I don't want to get big and bulky. And I use you as an example all the time. I'm like, Amanda is strong as heck, and she lifts a lot of weights, and she certainly isn't big or bulky. In fact, she's smaller than she's ever been, but she lifts weights. Do you hear that stuff too from people?
I've heard that my whole life. Like, I think my whole family had issues with weight and like trying to be fit and staying fit. It was like all about cardio. Like cardio was the only thing and the only way to lose weight. Lifting weights for women made you look like a man. So like, I remember when I started at the gym, my older brother, and I know he was just joking. He's like, "You really want to lift all those weights and like look bulky and stuff?" Like we joke around, and my family and I just like consistently roast each other. But I mean, at first it kind of like, I was like, is this gonna make me be bigger? But it just makes you feel stronger. And as a woman, I feel like it makes you like feel more powerful. Like I can do what any other guy does. Like, why can't I?
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
do
not
find
like
that
gaining
too.
weight.
I find it too. Like there's something empowering about, I think, weightlifting for everybody, and especially for women, because a lot of times women have been told in society, being strong is somehow a bad thing. You're going to be super masculine. This is going to change your body. And you're a perfect example of that. You certainly don't look like a man. You're obviously feminine. You aren't big and bulky. In fact, you're smaller than you've ever been. And that's, I think, something that it's nice to watch, because, and this is the next thing I wanted to get into, the inspirational side of this. I know, we've posted lots of pictures to show what you've done, and you were a little bit weirded out at first with the number of people who would come up to you or comment on it because of how different you looked and how that inspired them to do different things. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Do I have to?
She didn't know I was going to jump that on her, actually.
Let's just be clear. I didn't know any of these questions are coming at me today, but it was really weird. Like I'd get stopped in public and be like, "Hey, you're the girl from the gym. Like, do you go to the gym?" And they're like, "No, I just see you on the internet with that big guy." I'm like, "Okay." Or like, "You look great," or like, "I just can't believe like you look like a whole different person." And I mean, those words are very like great to hear. it still makes me feel weird inside for some reason, and I don't know why. Like, I'm super thankful that people have been reaching out to me on social media, and but people have also reached out to me on social media and said, I think you were so beautiful before as well too. And I feel like those kind of comments help me too, because like I wanted my body to change, but I never wanted me personally to change. Like, I feel like the being called beautiful is not only like a physical thing, but a mental thing. And that like I am true to myself. I'm the same person. Um, yeah, it's so hard to like comprehend that. And like random people would send me messages on Instagram and just be like, I just want you to know, like, you're an inspiration to me. Like, I follow you through social media and I follow your journey, and it just like pushes me. And like one time I did a 5 day sugar-free like challenge, and like people were just like messaging me, I want in on this, I need to be accountable. And like, what is this? Like, I'm just a person. Like I don't know. It just like it's weird. It's still weird to me.
We had a guy who came in, I remember one time, and he and his wife had come in, and our gym manager was giving her a tour, and Amanda was in working out with me and Cameron, but all three of us were there. And this guy says to Beth, "Oh my God, that's Cameron and Amanda." He was absolutely amazed that you guys are real people and you were there, because he'd been watching this whole process and he just couldn't get out. It was almost like he was seeing a celebrity for the first time. It was a really cool thing to see. But he and his wife both, the reason they came was because of that. Our friend Paul Dyer, who runs Carson Exports, who's a client of ours, the reason he came is because of you and Cameron. He saw what you guys did, and he was driving to work one day and said, I feel terrible, I want to do what they did. And that's what he did. He walked in the door and said, I want to be like Cameron and Amanda, which he's now done, which is super cool. But it is neat to see just how many people you touch. And the funny thing is, and I say this quite often, the number of people you touch who actually reach out to you, there's probably 10 times those people who are uncomfortable to actually say anything to you, but you're touching them and inspiring them too, which is, I think, super cool.
It is really cool. And at the beginning, like if we go back to this whole interview, I started talking about how I used to just dream to wake up in a different body, but it starts with happiness. Like if you truly believe in yourself and love yourself internally, like it helps you push to get to the place that you actually want to be at. Like when I started Project Fit with you, like with Cameron, I had a good headspace. Like my headspace was good. It was just a good time for me to do it. And I just feel like you have to continuously not only work on your body, but like your mental health as well too. It's just not all about, looking a certain way. I just feel like it's a mental thing as well too.
And 100%. I mean, in my, early, in my, teens and 20s and early 30s, I was super negative about myself too. I would beat myself up. I'm trying to get bigger all the time. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s before I was like, okay, you need to calm down a little bit. It's okay not to beat yourself up. And a lot of people, I hear a lot, and I'm sure now you're hearing it too, because people look at you and go, oh, you look great. It must not have been a struggle for you. You must not have days that you feel off. You must not have days you must feel great every day. And I say to people quite often, it took me a long time to accept who I was. And once I accepted who I was and my body at that point, then I felt very differently about exercise. And it wasn't a punishment, it was fun. And I had always been fun, but it got more fun. And then what was interesting about that, I think, is once you accept yourself and you get comfortable with yourself and who you are and how your body is, then if you make a change to your body, that's just a decision you're making because you want to do that for a health reason. It's not because you want to look a certain way because you want society to think of you differently.
Well, that's the thing. I think people think going to the gym or the word gym is all about transformation. Yeah, and social media, maybe it pushes you to like change your habits, but like going to the gym is not all about transformation. Like someone could look a certain way and still be healthy and feel healthy. it doesn't mean like the way they look doesn't look healthy to you, but like them being at the gym is not only about like a transformation of their body, it's about their mental headspace and like getting in there and feeling comfortable. That was the one thing about the gym that made me consistently going back, is that no one looked the same. There wasn't like I wore a lot of layers at the beginning because I thought I was going in a gym where people were walking around with their sports bra or their shirts off, and like it's just not that gym. Like it's something that I feel like social media thinks the gym and society should look like at the gym, but it's not. It's different shapes, sizes, people, and like nobody's looking at you. Like nobody's staring at you while you're working out or like saying, "Oh my God, she did her squats incorrectly." Like no, like people are there for themselves and not about, you know, scoping out people.
I agree. I agree. And that's the thing, that we're all on some sort of journey. If you're in the gym physically in some way, and we all have different goals, and what my goals are, your goals, or whoever's goals, they're different. And then there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't, the whole point of the gym, the best part about my job is that I get to be around people who inspire me, you being one of them, because of the fact that you have gone through changing your body and changing your headspace, and those things is a huge, it's a big challenge. And to see somebody do that and still be positive on a daily basis and go through all that work and then to maintain it. I think the coolest part about this is you've maintained this for almost 3 years, which means now it is a lifestyle change. Now it is a real thing that isn't going to fall back. It's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle change. That to me is incredibly inspiring, because you see the effort. Because I mean, we work out together all the time. Like I see the amount of work you put in on a regular basis. It's not easy.
It isn't, because I'm trying to like also like not compete, but like catch up to you too. And like it pushes me to like, it's good to have a partner though at the gym as well too, because it like I'm the type of person that doesn't sometimes believe I can lift a certain amount. Like I'm just like, that's impossible. And I say it to you all the time. You're like, okay, here's your weights. And I'm like, are these your weights or my weights? And then I complain and then I do it. And I'm like, oh wow, I did it. It's just like having that push really helps too.
So if there was one thing, and we're going to wrap up shortly right now. If there was one thing
second.
that you would say, okay,
I'm gonna change my headphones just so they don't die.
okay. Got a whole headphone set going on over there.
My AirPods are gonna die. So it's like,
That wouldn't be any good.
no, you would have been so pissed off. Cheater,
Oh,
why did you not?
I'd be like asking Chater one question, be done. Then we'd be no more
Be
conversation.
like, let's talk about me now. Oh, sorry, my headphones died.
No one is coming in to listen to
Hold
me
on.
anyway. I talk too much as it is. All right, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there was one thing that you would say to somebody or to anybody who is either starting out or midway through, anything to do with fitness and you know, making a change in their lifestyle, what would the one thing you would say to them be, if you want to not necessarily inspire them, I guess, but just if you said to them, okay, this is the one piece of information I can give you that helped me?
Do not compare yourself to other people.
I love that.
That was my biggest thing. Especially social media is such a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Like sometimes I take mental breaks from social media because we do this to ourselves. We all do this. We're in a good headspace and then we go on social media and then we see a girl's body that I'm just like, man, I've been working at this for so long. Like, why does her body look like that? And then I get in a negative headspace. So you just really need to not compare yourself to anyone. But also like this is another thing, if you're going to give me a second advice, is surround yourself with people that like really care about you and love you for who you are. Like no matter what, just people that are uplifting and positive really helps. Like when you surround yourself by negative people, that negativity just eats away inside you, and then there's no positivity around you. Like, I just feel like, do not compare yourself and stay away from negativity.
I love those. Those are fantastic. I couldn't come up with, listen, if I had 20 minutes to come up with 2 good ones, I wouldn't have come up with those. And I didn't give her any of these questions first. She
No,
just
she
winged that
didn't.
one.
Honestly, I felt like there's no tequila in here. This was the most nervous interview. I was like, guys, are you gonna give me one question that like
It's just me. We hang out all the time.
I know, but I actually like this because this is just who I am. It just shows people this is who I really am, and not just a picture of us on the internet hugging after a friggin' worst workout of our lives, and you forcing me to show teeth as I smile.
She doesn't like to show her teeth when she smiles. That I've always
No,
making her do
especially
it.
after a bad workout. Like, why am I gonna fake my happiness? No, I'm just joking. I feel good afterwards.
Amanda, thank you so much. That was amazing. Really appreciate it. I am
Thank
super
you.
pumped to put this out on YouTube and have people hear a little bit more about your story.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, Chates.
See ya.